Hello, it's the NFLExporter Ty Goodman, and we're talking the mid-season report for the NFL 2013-14 season. And next, we're talking about the AFC North. In first place right now is the Cincinnati Bengals at 6-3. The Bengals are led by Andy Dalton in a very young and talented offense. On the offensive side of the ball, aside from Dalton, in the passing game, he has one of the best wide receivers in the NFL in A.J. Green. He also has a young receiver, Marvin Jones, another young receiver in Sanu, and they also recently got back Lavelle Hawkins, who was a nice slot player. I really think if he can stay healthy, he'd be a nice slot option. He's real quick and shifty in the open field. In the running game, they have a veteran Benjaris Green-Ellis. They also have rookie Giovanni Bernard, who looks to be very explosive. This guy's upside and potential is huge. I was unsure at the time that the Bengals drafted him as of why. I really didn't have a chance to see him at North Carolina, so it was really more a question from not seeing him more than about his ability. But obviously I see the answer why he was the first running back taken off the board. That was an excellent job by Cincinnati. You're pretty much scoping out a gem. This guy I really like, is really explosive, has a lot of agility, brings a nice change of pace, and is also a very good receiver catching out of the backfield. The offensive line is where my issues and concerns are. Shaky at times, especially in pass protection. And when Andy Dalton doesn't have time to pass the ball, he does panic and it creates turnovers. So the running game also has proved to be not as effective as I would like it to be. I still think that this team's offense can round into form. If they can find a way to run the ball effectively, I think it would limit the turnovers and not put Cincinnati in so many obvious pass situations. On the defensive side of the ball, this is a very solid unit, but they did take two huge losses. All-Pro defensive tackle Geno Atkins, as well as cornerback Leon Hall, who's a very good secondary player. Both of those players are out for the year, so we'll have to see how the Bengals make the adjustments, because those are two tough losses to take in two key areas, which is rushing the passer, stopping the run, and then also stopping the pass. But I still feel they have enough talent. Guys like Ray Malaluga, who's also injured right now, so we'll see when he comes back from injury in a few weeks if he's still healthy. But guys like Reggie Nelson and Terrence Newman, Michael Johnson, Carlos Dunlap, Vontaze Burfict, I feel like these guys can hold it together. James Harrison now may prove to be a valuable pickup, maybe coming in and carrying some of the load as well. Overall, I like the Bengals coming in at 11-5. Maybe 10-6. I think they have enough of a cushion that they can win the division, but they do have the Cleveland Browns breathing right down their necks. They have a key matchup with them coming up again in Cincinnati. Also a couple of division games left. So as always, the question marks remain around Cincinnati. Are they a team that's ready to take the next step forward, really stake claim to that AFC North division, and try to make a run in the playoffs? Next in line, you had the Cleveland Browns at 5-4. The Browns actually have been able to hold ship behind the stout defense. On offense, they've had injuries at quarterback. Brian Hoyer stepped in for Brandon Weeden, who was being inconsistent. Hoyer looked like the guy for the job, but he got injured. Back came Weeden. Weeden wasn't doing the job that they wanted, so they gave Jason Campbell a try. Now he seems like a guy who is ready to step in, surprisingly to me at least, to lead this offense, at least of what I've known of Jason Campbell in the past. Not the most effective player, but he seems to, at least through a couple games this year, being able to lead this Cleveland offense the way it needs to be led. The running game, obviously, is where the issues lie in. They have veteran Willis McGahee, Obanaya, another young running back, but very ineffective. Cleveland is going to have to get that problem solved. I'm quite sure when the draft comes up, that's going to be an area they're looking to address, because in the passing game, the options are there. Greg Little seems to be trying to turn the corner, a player who always had talent but just didn't seem to get it. Josh Gordon's a talented second-year guy, big-time speed, big playmaker. I really like his ability. You always have to watch out for him in the passing game. And then Jordan Cameron, a young tight end, seems to have found his lane and is proven to be very effective as well. So if the Browns are going to get it done, it does look like it's going to have to get done through the airwaves. I'm not quite sure if they have the quarterback who can handle passing the ball that many times if it comes down to it. The defense, as I mentioned, very stout. players of talent on all levels. Front line, you have Phil Taylor, second level, DeQuell Jackson in the secondary, Joe Hayden. They have other solid players. These guys are really doing a great job in this Ray Horton scheme. Very aggressive. Mingo, rookie outside linebackers, doing an excellent job. I really like the depth on this defense. Very active group, very confident group. They're really keeping Cleveland in every game. And if they can continue to play this way the rest of the season, again, with only being one game off of Cincinnati and having a head-to-head battle along with some other division games, we'll see how it plays out. I think 9-7 is within reach, but it may be just the game behind the Bengals at the end of the day. Next in line, we had the Baltimore Ravens at 3-5. Big time disappointment, but again, with the amount of talent and leadership and veterans they lost, I'm not quite sure if that was really understood how it would translate over to the football field, because you felt they still had some names on the roster to get the job done. You figured Joe Flacco, Ray Rice, Torrey Smith, could hold it down. Vonta Leach is a Pro Bowl fullback. They still had a good offensive line. You figured they would be able to still move the ball effectively on offense. And on defense, there were guys like Terrell Suggs, Elvis Dumerville, Haloti Ngata. I guess those are all front seven players, because that secondary and those linebackers just aren't getting the job done right now. And those were the areas where the Ravens were hit the hardest on the defensive side of the football. So I guess it makes sense. The most puzzling question right now is, why are the Ravens passing the ball so much? When you have a Pro Bowl caliber like Ray Rice, you figure you'd be getting the ball into his hands as much as possible. But at the midpoint of the season, Rice is only averaging 12 carries for 36 yards a game. And Joe Flacco's already thrown for 310 times. Really makes you question what the Ravens are doing on the offensive side of the football. I feel that the offensive strategy and the game planning is horrible, to be quite honest. And if they don't get this thing fixed, I really don't know what improvements they can make besides changing their scheme, because getting your star player the ball 12 times and having your quarterback who doesn't have really any other weapons in the passing game, it's just not good football. Again, as we mentioned on the defensive side of the football, Suggs, Ngata, Dumerville, do what they can up front. But the secondary and the second level players and linebacker are not getting the job done. All young players, so you probably expect this is going to take some time for this defense to gel together. I do think, though, the Ravens had their work cut out. If they're planning on making the playoffs, I don't see it. I believe 7-9 looks to be in their future. Last but not least, the Pittsburgh Steelers, another 3-5 team. Too little, too late on the offensive side of the football. Rookie Le'Veon Bell is doing a pretty good job, but he was kind of injury-riddled coming in. Really didn't get the wheels turned until about game 5 or 6. The offensive line is in shambles as usual. You hate that that's become the reputation for the Steelers, but that's what it's come to. And Big Ben, he's doing his part, but under a lot of duress and pressure in the passing game. And without an effective running game, play action really isn't there. The receivers who are left, Emmanuel Sanders and Antonio Brown, they're doing a pretty good job. I really just feel they're not the biggest, most physical receivers, so a lot of times they have trouble when being jammed, or there are more physical corners or linebackers involved. But they do an effective job as they can. Heath Miller's trying to round back into form. He was injured coming into the season, but overall, the Pittsburgh offense just not effective enough really to bolster the points on a week in and week out basis, especially behind this defense right now, which have been questioned within the last couple years about age, speed. I'm quite sure they hate to admit it, but it's obvious at this point in time that the Steelers' defense, as we knew it, is no longer. The defense has just aged. There's nothing you can do about that. The playmakers simply aren't able to do the things that they used to do, and it's showing up on the field as the Steelers' defense just not able to get the job done. I have the Steelers coming in, 6-10, 7-9. They have some major rebuilding to do. That wraps it up for the AFC North. NFL Exporter. We'll be right back with some more.